People always say the Irish do death very well, and that's because we've been doing it very well for 3,000 years. So we really have practice in it. And I think it's a beautiful thing to think about your ancestors. And yesterday on Instagram, I saw a post that said it's a grieving handle. You know, it's like a grief group that I follow. Both my parents have already passed. And it was talking about how triggering Halloween is for people who have lost somebody, because you have skeletons, you have everything everywhere. But to me, that is emblematic of a culture that is not really leaning into death. You know, if we were able to talk about death the way that our ancient ancestors did, then it would be on your tongues every day. You know, when my mother died 3 years ago, it's her anniversary now, death anniversary next week. People in Ireland would literally ask you 100 questions about the death. How was it? How was your mother? How was the funeral? Was it a good funeral? You could have a half an hour conversation. I had an experience here where after my mother died, some really close friends never even asked me. Because I think there's a chance of I don't want to ask somebody. So there's a society now where we push it down. And then you're triggered by skeletons and by ghouls. So I think if we can learn anything from being triggered by Halloween is that we need to lean into death a little bit more. And so that's what this story is about. I started these stories when I went to the farmhouse. My mother was in a nursing home with Alzheimer's, and I started to write about 3 years ago. And this story has come out of that. So it's quite a short story. But it's called The Banshees of Maureen, my mother's name. Oh. So I'm going to start with that one, and you're going to record this one. So I hope you're all lovely and comfortable for this story. The Banshees of Maureen. There you go, Grawny, in a cup of coffee, no milk. I take the beige chipped cup, full to the brim. It jolts as I set it down. The door is closed carefully behind me. Well, who looks like the wreck of the Hespers now? I try to get a rise out of her as I face her. Not a flicker. A bobby clip holds back her grey hair in a girlish side parting. For in her wild mind, she's a schoolgirl again. A puddle of coffee forms on the bedside locker. A brown line runs towards her worn beads. I form my red lipstick side smirk. Ha, classic me, eh? A messer. Too hot anyways. You'd enjoy it more than me. Want a sup? Nothing. I'd grown used to the monologues in this beige purgatory. I lift her hand into mine. Her beautiful long piano fingers. Soft, cold, pale. I sigh. I should drink the coffee. God knows I need the dopamine hit. But I anticipate the thin taste and I shudder. Her eerie primal rasp of death echo around the room. Ancient sounds across the worlds. Ah, Mum, would you let go? We'll be grand. Samhain has already passed. Slán Awalia, we'll figure it out. We're growing up now. And my girl has got her place. Another thing I won't get to tell you. Asher would harm, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh down that. I close my eyes. And Moorling Maregan. And Moorling Maregan. And Moorling Maregan. The Monotra soothes me, yet my mind wanders to what's on the horizon. Next year, the farm divided. Next week, the emails will fly, draining the life out of me as my hypermind loses interest. Oh, the devil is in the detail. I picture her wake at the house. She never complained, they'll say. Unlike me, flying off the handle with my opera-coloured hair. I stroke her hollow cheeks. The skin on her face is paper thin, pulled tight like a skeleton. A phantom presence of her former self. You were once a force of nature, carrying the wood to dry by the Aga. Who knows what lay beneath those brown eyes, though? Did I ever know you really? Your story was so enmeshed in his. But you loved me. You loved me. I mean, you never said the words aloud, but you sent those letters and you signed them Gra More, Gra More, Gra More, over and over. I wish I kept them. I think I have one still. I gulped down the chemical goop, lukewarm. The astringent aftertaste dominates. Well, function over pleasure, like her, dutiful, the good country wife. Yet I see her giddily guzzling cappuccino, the froth set on her bright thin lips. A novel experience in her tweed jacket, well wrapped up, mind you. Don't change your clouch till May is out. Sláinte, gur mara míid beo, another gulp. In a week I may break apart. Yet now I feel relief. Groy. I heard someone call it on a podcast. Grief plus joy. Groy. Groy, my owl Sagosha. Come on now. The Phantom Queen is here to guide you back to where you belong. The other world awaits. And the wind cries, Mary. Come here, Mother. So even as I read that, I can feel my mother's presence, and both my parents have passed now, and it's like they're in the room with me, and it's a beautiful thing. So I want again to create a sense of community. So take a moment and say hello to your neighbour, introduce yourself, it's Misha, I am, and say hello, and maybe you can just see how that story landed. 5-10 minutes so we can get to know.